You have been a missionary to India, I understand, for 25 years, is that right?
That's correct.
Now, we should have a little talk about how it all did start, both with you and your work. Maybe we should start with your work. What are you actually doing in India?
Well, I'm an administrator and I'm director of the Cathedral Relief Service, which is a outreach work into the city of Calcutta from St. Paul's Cathedral. And we work amongst the slum people in 15 centers.
You are English, but you work with the Dansk Santalmission, is that right?
I am English, but I do work with the Dansk Santalmission, and that has quite a history to it. I went out to India in 1961, and I was working in administration work in South India when I came into contact with the Santalmission work. And I was invited to go up to Assam in the north of India for 4 months. And while I was there, I met the people and leaders of the Boro tribe. And they asked me if I ever thought of changing my work or needed work, would I please go up and help them to set up the administration in their church with 75 congregations.
So that was with the Indian people?
The Indian people invited me to go up there. Mm-hmm. And it was through the Dansk Santalmission, because there were missionaries working up there, mm-hmm. that brought me into contact with the Boro tribe.
And so you've been there for 25 years?
No, I was with them for just over 9 years when we were told that all missionaries north bank of the Brahmaputra should come out of Assam. So we were about 100. And I think I was one of the last to come out. When I was due to take my leave, they then said, after 5.5 years there at one stretch, please now, you can come back to India, but not to Assam, because it's a sensitive area. And so I came to Calcutta.
And you have been there since then?
And I have been there since 1970.
Yeah. Now, I have talked a little with you, and you have a very interesting story, how it all started with you as a personal Christian and becoming a missionary. I think we should hear something about that. How did it all start with you? I mean, becoming a Christian and getting into that work.
Well, I suppose it started in 1947 when I went out to Damascus. I was in the Foreign Service, and while I was there in the Foreign Office, I decided to take Foreign Service. That means overseas, not in London itself. And so I was offered Damascus, and they tell me that if you're offered work, and each time abroad it's 3 times you must go. So every time it was Damascus. It never came anything else. And then while I was there, I felt that there was more in life. I had seen a lot of suffering through the war at home, and I'd seen a lot of suffering in Damascus with the bombing that was going on, because the mandate was lifted on the 15th of May 1948. And so I started searching in my mind. And while I was doing this, somebody had written from London to some missionaries in Damascus to say, there is one rather lonely person there, please look her up. I thought that was dreadful. I thought that was a terrible thing. I'd never go near any missions or any missionaries. And anyway, God had other plans, no doubt. And after about 6 months, they wrote again, and then I finally went to see them. Then we got talking, and I began to understand there was a challenge in life. But even so, I wanted to find it for myself. No one to say much to me. So I went back to my pension where I was staying, and I read my Bible, a thing I have never done for years. And the first thing I read was that we should pray, the Lord's Prayer. So I thought, I never pray. So what is this? So I thought, let me start. So I started. And then I didn't tell anybody I was reading the Bible. I would have been ridiculed in the embassy. But I came to John 3:3 and John 3:16. I didn't understand. Just then I got another invitation to go down to that mission, so I thought I had better go. And she said, this very kind lady, please stay and hear the pastor. He's got a message tonight which may be very helpful. I'll translate for you. And it was on John 3:3 and John 3:16. So I knew what I had to do.
Now, we both know what is in John 3:3, but what is it?
John 3:3, except a man be born again. And so then I felt that this was a very strange thing. And so I went back to my pension, and I had not been sleeping very well for quite some time. And I said to the Lord, if I am to become yours, then you please give me rest and sleep this night. That will be proof that you are real. So I went on my knees and asked this. And I think I had the best sleep of my life that night. But then that was the beginning of a new life. But the challenges that came for the next 6 years while I was in the work still. For 9 months nobody spoke to me, hardly.
At the work?
At the work.
Why?
Except the ambassador. Because they had understood I had changed. Things stopped. I didn't go to these parties that I used to go to. And I didn't get involved with all the different types of life that you have in the Foreign Office and Foreign Service. So then, after 9 months, I found a difference. You know, people came to me and asked me for advice. And I learned, you know, that if you honor the Lord, He honors you. There's no question. Now, for some time before my conversion, I had been involved in spiritualism because of my mother. And so before I came to the Lord, I had been having these knockings and seeing colors around people again. And so after 1 year, it happened. There were knockings on the wall. And so I said, this can't be, because I belong to the Lord now. So the Lord said to me, you get out of your bed, you get on your knees, and you ask in the name of Jesus Christ that you be delivered from these spirits. I did just that, and I have never had anything again of any type. And I have learnt the power of the name of Jesus.
How long time was that after you got converted?
About 1.5 years.
So that experience with spiritualism, so your experience really proved that there's more, there's supernatural thing that people can experience.
Yes, it's there all right, but we shouldn't dabble in it. That's very clear in the Bible.
That's true, that's true. But you got a deliverance.
I did, absolutely.
I think your testimony here is very strong. That because we know that there are people today who don't believe in that. And they may believe in God, but they don't believe in the devil and so on. But your testimony is strong on that there is a deliverance in the name of Jesus. So what about the call to the ministry?
So after 6 years more in the embassy, I decided then that I should prepare myself for another work. I felt that I had got something to give. The only thing that bothered me was that Paul only said, you know, doctors and nurses and teachers and priests or pastors. So I thought, what about administrators? But then the Lord said to me, that will keep you busy for life. You're not to worry. So I stepped out from a very secure work into what appeared insecurity. But the Lord again said, you step out and trust me. You will never need and you will never want. And I can say that has been my real experience from the moment I stepped out in 1955. Then I went to the London Bible College for 3 years and prepared myself there. And then my first call overseas was to Uganda, where I was called by the Bishop of Uganda to be a diocesan worker within the African Church. I went for a purpose, which was to train Africans in administration, and once trained, to withdraw. Well, I did all I could, and did as much as I could to help them. Then the time came to reconsider as to whether I should continue in Uganda. And then the Lord said, no, there is yet another place. So then I went back to the UK, and within a very short time, the call to India came. It came in a strange way because it was to South India, where I had to do this administration work and clear up work that needed to be cleared up, as so often. And then the stepping stone to the north.
When you speak about your life, you in between you say, and then God spoke to me, and God, you speak about having fellowship with God as with a human being. How does God speak to you?
Well, I feel he makes it very clear to me. I'm in no doubt. When I am in doubt, then I know that I have to go on praying. It comes through prayer and through guidance, you know. It's obvious when God is guiding. There's no doubt. You can't have two doors open at once.
Mm.
You may have 5 or 6 in front of you, but only one will be the one he wants you to go through. And that has been the test of faith with me the whole time.
So you have tried, can we say, 2 kinds of life? First, you was in the foreign service with the English government?
Yeah, British government, yes.
British government?
Yes.
Then you have been in the foreign service with, what should we call it, God?
Yes, an ambassador for Christ, I suppose, which is perhaps one of the greatest things you can do, and that is to work for the Lord.
What about the future?
Well, at the moment I'm going back because this is a very big work in Calcutta. We've got a very big processing going on in the bastis, or that is the slum in Indian, as we call it. There are about 100 workers working out into the city of Calcutta. We are very few in the office side, and we are trying to develop the community. In other words, we are telling the community to be motivated to do things for themselves and not to rely upon others. But this has to be taught. Mm. So what we are trying to do is to make the man aware of his own potentials and abilities, so that we can develop them.
One last question. You have been working in India now for many years. We know there is much of need in India. Do you think that the Christian gospel has a chance to really help the Indian people?
Well, if the Christian gospel is really preached faithfully, it is dynamite. I mean, it's the strongest message that there is the message of salvation. Christians should stand together and be united. I don't think it matters the label, you know. Mm. I have said that. All the labels up in heaven will be the same. But down on earth they don't seem to be, and people stay in their own boxes. But I think really and truly Christians have to unite, stand together in a country that is nearly 800 million, with about perhaps 12 million Christians. It is a very, very big minority, if you can look at it that way.
Hele 75 år. KKR var med til jubilæet, og vi skal nu se et